How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to the Dad and Daughter Podcast channel right here on YouTube. And I'm Dad. How's your day going? Anyways, the title of this article, I did not thumb through it, but I already have something to say about the title here. Downright cold-blooded murder. White Army Ranger gets minimum sentence for vicious 10-minute beating of black female security guard after blaming it on brain injury. Well, now I'm sure the black community's all pissed, all up in arms because, well, I can understand some white folks being upset about this too, because gets a minimum sentence, for a 10-minute beating. But also, on the same token, you black people, the one on trial, including the fucking entire community, bitches and calls Ben Crump and our civil rights were violated because we have a black person here that got caught doing a crime and got a maximum sentence and blah blah blah. Really? The bitching gonna stop? Or do I get to continue having fun blasting all you fools? And there's gonna be including this white one here too. Like I do all. If I find white people to blast, I will do that too. Good Lord. Anyways, people get upset because of a white guy gets a minimum sentence for beating a black person, and people bitch because a black person gets maximum sentence for beating a white person. Sometimes you assholes don't get charged at all because Ben Crump's your lawyer, or you're claiming, oh, I blacked out, I wasn't sure what I was doing. Yeah, well, think of a new defense. Shit's getting old. In a plea deal agreement, former Army Ranger Patrick Phillip can someone help me out with that last name, please? Received the lightest sentence possible for first-degree murder in Washington, 20 years in prison. I mean, depending on his age now, 20 years is probably good enough, because if he's 40, he ain't going to get out until he's 60. Or if he's 30, he's not going to get out until he's 50. And plus the wear and tear that prison puts on a person, that's... that could be figured in too, but... Oh. 29. Okay, so he's almost going to be 50. Anyways, the 29-year-old admitted to brutality. If you ever watch my gaming videos, there's some big words that I try to speak and I always trip over. Apparently, brutally is another big word. Brutally beating and choking security guard Denise Miller, 41, to death back in July of 2021 and faced life in prison without parole. Washington State does not carry the death penalty. If each state had the death penalty, oh, buddy. The slain guard's family gathered in the courtroom on May 10th May 10th and addressed Pierce County Judge Stanley Rumbo, hoping for justice for Denise. The judge told, I'm guessing his name is Patrick, the white guy here, His actions were as callous or cruel as the court had ever had the misfortune of dealing with before handing down the 20-year sentence, according to the News Tribune. The moment elicited feelings of rage among family members, of course. It would to anyone. Someone commits a murder, a member of your family, so they die, and the person just gets a slap on the wrist. The fuck is that all about? And no, I'm not defending white criminals like you guys do black criminals. Take notes. And many are questioning why he did not get life without parole, considering the brutal and senseless nature of the attack. Yeah, white people think about that about black people too, and black people just laugh and say, deal with it. Smith's father, Charles E. Reagans, a military veteran, wrote a letter to the court. I myself, a U.S. veteran, recognize that Patrick Phillip is one of the Army's highest trained killers, an Army Ranger. Reagans wrote, the actions of Phillip toward my daughter were brutal, savage, harsh, cruel, unnecessary, and worthless. It was downright cold-blooded murder. Other family members spoke of the devastating impact her death has had on their lives. I'm never going to forgive him for what he did, said Dennis Mack, Denise's older brother. I hope he catches hell where he's going. Only problem is, I won't be there to see and enjoy it. Yeah, white people say the same thing about you black people, but you black people expect a slap on the wrist, be back out on the streets within days, and you're back doing the same old shit like, ha ha ha, you can't get me, because I'm black. I'm still waiting for the day you guys take responsibility for your damn actions, and I don't think that's ever going to fucking happen. According to the probable cause arrest affidavit, Phillip was drinking at a bar downtown Tacoma when he and his friends got into an altercation with another group before the attack. His defense attorney, David, said he was punched and hit his head on the concrete during that brawl before he attempted to get into another venue. Did I read that right? He was punched and hit his head on the concrete during the brawl before he attempted to get into another venue. Where he was intercepted by newly hired security guard Denise Smith, who had only been on the job a few days. Only a few days? Come on, bro. When she told him the building was closed, Phillip unleashed on Smith, assaulting her for nearly 10 minutes, according to the affidavit. Black people do that to white people too. Surveillance video showed the Army Ranger slamming Smith to the ground, punching her in the face repeatedly, and dragging her around by her braids. He also attempted to gouge out her eyes with a set of keys, and then punched her with the keys in between his fingers before strangling her. Phillip then fled the scene, according to the affidavit, by shattering a window with a chair and jumping from a landing down to the ground about 14 feet below. During the dramatic escape attempt, Phillip was injured and began screaming for help around 2 a.m. It was later revealed he had a brain injury. At the hospital, he alleged to the nurses that he was stabbed and sexually assaulted, though no evidence though no evidence has surfaced that either happened. Yeah, black people come up with a lie like that and they expect everyone to believe them and pitch a bitch fit when everyone doesn't. At his sentencing, Philip apologized to Smith's family, adding that the media and social media has betrayed me as a drunk, had portrayed me. Has really? Who wrote this article? As a drunken, monstrous murderer in Denise's life, but that's not me. The same stories black people give when they're in court. Oh, he's a good boy. He doesn't do any of that. I hear that bullshit all the time. Black, white. People, the shit's getting old. Knock it off. Said the admitted murderer through tears, glancing over at her family. I'm not a threat to society. During his plea for mercy to the judge, he also said, I wish I had never had been out here, then none of this would have happened. And Denise Smith, a great, wonderful woman to be sure, she would still be alive and part of the world for much, much longer. Philip has had a history of head injuries, including blast concussions during his time in the Army, and his attorney claimed they may have played a role in his behavior. I mean, lawyers argue that point for black people, so why can't they do that for white people? According to the News Tribune, Katayama, please help me with that one too, argued in court filings that a brain scan showed Philip had a brain bleed in the area that controls morality and judgment and is consistent with a punch to the head. Philip claims he has no memory of what happened that night whatsoever, as everyone does. The prosecuting attorney also considered Philip's mental state when agreeing to the plea deal, stating in court filings that it may be difficult to get a jury to unanimously convict the man for a first-degree charge when the motive is otherwise unclear. Let's pick that motive out. If I remember correctly through this here article, he was drinking. He tried to get into another venue. He got into a scuffle. This was before Denise. Tried to get into another venue. Denise stopped him, said, hey, no, you can't. Building closed, blah, blah, blah. And then, just like a black person, when they get told, no, building closed, blah, 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 you can't go in. This white guy flips a tit and beats Denise to death. The motive is Denise told Philip that he can't go in because the building's closed. That's why she lost her life, because he went apeshit on her ass. Because she told him the building was closed, he can't go in. That's your motive right there. Doesn't take a rocket scientist, they're geniuses. Speaking to the attorneys and the court, shit like that. However, Rumball, I give up trying to pronounce some of these names actually, pointed out that Philip was aware of his previous brain injuries, but chose to drink excessively that night anyway. He was out with his friends or fellow Rangers, basically getting intoxicated to the point of creating a disturbance, and that was voluntary, the judge said. Well, yeah, I mean, if you drink, hell, you're gonna you're gonna be doing some stupid shit. But really, murder? Like I said, she told him he couldn't go in because the building was closed. He got all pissed off and went ape shit on her ass. There's your motive right there, guys. And I'm not an officer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I'm just a person who calls shit as they see it. So, yeah, condolences to the family, Denise. But still, I don't know why. Why did he not at least get life? It may not been. It didn't have to be life without parole, or life with the possibility of parole after, like, say, 10 years or so. You know, just life. Okay, why did he not get that? Okay, why? Anyways, I'm going to leave the video here, guys. That's a question to ponder. And as with all court rulings and cases and shit, that every question is pondered. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Like I said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.